really amazing. I just realized that that's what you're.
There's enough room at the podium, headspace wise. No, I want more headspace.
But I don't know why it's so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what feedback are we getting that's making it so
There must
horrific?
be a way to adjust.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna figure it
I
out.
can look really quick. I mean, the other thing we could do is we
So
all right,
do that.
that'll help.
Let's see. Maybe we can check your phone in a minute if it's still screeching.
That sounds good. We can also put in the
Oh, it's wait.
but we could also use the 1/8 inch. Oh yeah, good. Little marker. Let's see what's going on here. Here's my phone.
Oh, yeah. It's fine. Listen, I'm trying to ask you about
But then when you have to, you found it.
and then we said we were allowed, and they came back. No, they just did one class. So she was just saying, no, it's happened last month. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
You know, it's a-
Yeah, no, but she doesn't know. She's really happy. And like the medicine takes it great. She's so good. And my biggest concern is like the antibiotics. Right. Yeah.
Oh, and I need you to report. Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Well, so back in the day, like, the I can't believe it. That church used to be like, it was like, for like, now it's a week. Yeah. Now it's 1 week.
It is a lot.
Yeah, but it looks like.
It's okay.
Totally fine. It's really like, it's more like this. I didn't have a laptop and put it together.
Keep going.
It's not as good. But I was looking to test results, so you can get 2 or 3 things and not quite. You know, so. But it's still.
So we'll, I know you're gonna go do this.
The only thing that you should be. You just have to time it so that on your.
That's what I need to start. So this Monday, I'll email you in the head of this. I'll spring back next week. You see it?
We have a little, we normally start at like 8:15, because people have a way of learning languages. So we get started in like 5 minutes.
No.
That's for with a lover.
Yeah. I feel like you have to come by before and you know, sadness, so we'll probably.
Well, let's see, because Saya has Vincent. Well, you're Vincent.
So I'm the difference. Yeah, so I'll like welcome everyone.
Love you for 9 years.
You'll be there.
Yeah.
Heather will be there
That's
too.
pretty nice.
She better be lovely over there.
I'm going to.
And Lovely Steve's gonna be there. He's.
Oh, no.
It's kind of funny because Lovely is she thinks in everything. I'm like, I don't think my daughter.
So,
She's like, she looks cute. No, I mean, she looks cute.
100%.
Right? Like, it's. I don't know
But
what, oh, I know, she sent me whatever, it's just beforehand. But I mean, that like sounds like mischief, like mischief. Like yours. Do I have that? I don't know, I just see her and I think she likes it.
You just see her, you know, she'll be fine.
I think she's gonna need some more, especially if she's. If she ends up being the only person.
She doesn't.
She has gone.
I think that she has, but you know, like she's still pretty like fresh, as in like she hasn't messed around with Frank.
I'm really contemplating still throwing Tammy's third birthday, a week after.
Oh, yeah. So birthdays are not close.
But Tammy's birthday is but nobody's
Okay, so that's fine. That's okay.
yeah, exactly.
When it no, yours is early.
Wait, so the reason why I think that I should still leave, it's really.
Like throwing a party. Cater.
You know what I mean? It's nice to see.
And then also, all the attention, I know.
I actually think it's I put the cake in there. Well, the show shoots at the end of July.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you want to find a seat, get comfortable. My name is Laura Henriksen. I'm the program director here at the Poetry Project, and I am extremely honored and delighted to be with you all this evening for readings by Tammy Nguyen and Mayfield Brooks. Before we get into tonight's program, I have just a few quick reminders and updates. So we have 2 all-gender restrooms located upstairs, and there are 2 more here on the first floor of the sanctuary. However, it's the case that dance is a performance happening now that should be ending in about 30 minutes, so we won't have access to the first floor restroom for that period of time. But afterwards, if you need the first floor restroom, just find me or anyone on staff, and we can open that door for you. It's such a pleasure to be with you this evening. We're really winding down the Poetry Project Spring 2023 season, but we do have a few more events that I would love to see you back for if you'll be around. So on Monday, we have a Zoom reading. I hope you'll tune in for this. It's really one of my favorites. It'll be our workshop celebration. So it's our Spring 2023 workshoppers will all gather to share some of the work that they made in the classes that they took with Edmund Berrigan, Laura Mosamontes, Angel Dominguez, and Sean Henry Smith. So that'll be a really fun Monday evening. And then the following week, on June 12th, that's our real end of the season celebration, which we'll start at 7, and we'll have some wine and seltzer, and then at 8, all of our really, really brilliant event techs and volunteers and interns will be reading. Chloe will be reading, who's with us tonight. So I really hope that you will come back for that. That's going to be a beautiful way to end the season. those are all of my announcements and reminders. So with that, I am really pleased to turn it over now to Emmy Cathedral to introduce Tammy Nguyen.
A little shorter. Hi. I'm gonna read for my phone. Hi, Tammy. Tammy and I hung out one time and became immediate old friends when we realized that we hated the same things. That's how I began my toast at her wedding. She has already written the best possible introduction to the book that she will read from, which can be found online, a detailed tour of her book as architecture as a body, starting with the spine and all the ways the spine can be, to quote her, functional form that can conduct and generate meaning. A spine will connect materials that would otherwise seem completely unrelated and therefore make more specific our reading of that material. The spine is a built structure that gives us a physical parameter and conceptual foundation, unquote. Actually, from what I know of her as an artist with practice, she has completely done away with spines, playing with all the ways the book could be unbound. Tammy is an architect of ways of reading. So I know I can't adequately introduce a book that differs from so much of her other work. She actually wrote that each word in O is meant to be read. Can you imagine? It's a challenge to introduce Tammy's writing as a discrete form in itself, or a discrete form of narrative, which in her case usually creates a beautiful confusion of myth, historical research and archives, her own biography, musical notation, materialities. She gets very obsessive about the surfaces of her paintings. Like a character says in the 2001 animated film Waking Life, on really romantic evenings itself, I go salsa dancing and put my confusion, which makes sense that we're here now at the Poetry Project. Tammy loves swimming in confusion. She's maybe the most disciplined, rigorous person in her dedication to creating moments of confusion. A Tammy story of beautiful confusion. There's a broadsheet that she created that appears like a newspaper front page, having switched in physical space. Tammy presented with actual national flags as sculptures, their colors and symbols receding as background thinly dulled by dark dye and no longer functioning as images that claim but semaphores from the Greek sema, sign, and pharaoh to bear. The work begs the questions, what have flags meant to move? Flags for mobility on seas that appear to be the only exit from lands of crises towards freedom. What are the temporary flags on floral patterned bed linens? She wrote, while at sea, my parents flew another flag. It was made out of bed linens that they brought to the water. They wrote SOS on these flags, and when this flag flew away, they flew another flag that made the flowers printed on the bed linens they slept in. This work of Tammy is a favorite of mine. It brought forth a consideration of a subject that subverts the imposition of a national cause, the flag, and advocating instead for the fluid world and realities that have no fixed shape. So back to O and its sounds. Tammy asked me to DJ a launch of this book last year. I gathered songs from various moments of our friendship, the time she met with cousin James and or maritime Southeast Asia for teens in a high school gym in Brooklyn, where she was teaching. Another time from a memorable tropical, humid, rainy day, a day feeling much like tonight, but even swampier, when she brought Vietnamese snacks full of crisp and funk to Montez Press Radio, and we played songs about the Pacific as imagined and invented by the West. And I also played songs for the times she would pick me up in her car while some soup or stew is low simmering in her kitchen, waiting for us to taste the notes going in and out of harmony and complexity. In an earlier series of unique artist books that led to this book, O, she writes, I wanted the ooze to fill in the oral void between music and imagery. This might be O as in organism, O as in octopus, or O as in oozing. Whatever sound you hear in your mind, it's meant to fill your experience of these books with imagined sounds. So it's hard to believe that for her, O is her most ordinary book, her own words. We'll get to now listen to how it's a great weaving of disparate threads, a detailed description of the Great Cave, an anthem, her Uncle David, her missing teeth, Play-Doh, a man-made island, and then all of those threads looping, intersecting, knotting. I'm so honored to take a seat in this room where we get to hear Tammy reading, sounding the book of O's again. And now I don't have like your formal bio and stuff, so Tammy.
Thank you, Emmy, for such a mesmerizing introduction. Thank you so much to Poetry Project for having me here. I'm so excited to share some excerpts from O for you. So O is a novella, and it connects many disparate ideas. And I think that something that I'm grappling with throughout this book is, ideas about real and fake, ideas about beauty, what makes something beautiful, even if it's fake, even if it's real, what do those terms even mean? The book, though, takes a physical form that is really important to its meaning. So before I start reading the book, I thought I would share a little bit about the things that you will not be able to hear because of reading excerpts from the book itself. So this is O. O is a book which measures approximately 4 inches by 8 inches, which means that when you open it up, it's approximately 8 inches by 8 inches. And as you read this square, there is an allusion to a circular space in the middle. So O, the idea is that O is always present. O, the letter, is intended to make many different transformations throughout the book in terms of sound, in terms of what it represents, in terms of what it means. Sometimes O can be the opening of a cave. Sometimes it can be the opening of someone's mouth. Sometimes it's simply the letter O. And as Emmy was saying, I do imagine the letter O, making many different kinds of sounds that you might imagine differently than I read them today because you're reading it silently. When you look at this book later on, if you get a chance, you'll notice that O is always linked in a string of 8 letter O's. And the number 8 is something that is never really written about, but something that's really important to design the structure of this book. So as I said, it was 8 inches tall, meaning that it's 8 by 8 inches when it's open. The book is also dissected into 8 different parts. And so when you read the book, there's 8 different images that then intersect each section. And then at the end of each vignette is a musical phrase using the 8-note scale. And then at the very end of the book, the holes are punches. There are holes punched in 8 different increments. So just keep that in mind as I'm reading texts from the book that have nothing to do with the number 8. As I'm reading, you're also going to be able to see the 8 different artworks that dissect this book. I gurgled from the back of my throat. Dr. John poked his circular mirror around in my mouth. In another mirror that I had been given to hold, I watched him probe my upper gums. Then, in his black, disc-like spinning chair, he paraded over to his desk and grabbed my x-rays. "We will have to figure out what to do with you," he said. I was 8, lying on the dentist's chair, staring up at the round and blinding operatory lights. Minutes earlier, I had heard Mrs. Nguyen cry from the other room, "We must help her." My x-rays had just been processed. They showed evidence of a birth defect known as congenially missing lateral incisors. Quite simply, 2 of my front teeth did not exist. Just 1 week earlier on the playground, I had been picking at my baby incisors, noodling my tongue around them, and peeling them slowly away from my gums. They were the last of my baby teeth. I was getting excited for my permanent smile. But upon learning that my smile would be abnormal, my excitement turned to confusion and anxiety. The teeth you just lost will not be coming back in, Dr. John continued, pleasant and matter of fact. Some people, like your mother, have very thin incisors, but you don't have them at all, but it's not uncommon. Some people let their teeth fill in the empty spaces, so their canines sit next to their front teeth. Others push the canines back to make room for false lateral incisors. You know, we don't need these teeth anymore, and someday no one will have them. You might just be ahead of human evolution. 400 million Earth. The land shifted, wind patterned, slapped, and whipped, boring into the hollows of the stone, pushing the water ahead of it and sculpting the rock into an ecosystem of caves. For hundreds of millions of years, countless species have thrived in the places where the meeting of acidic water and corrosive rock had created a matrix of riverways. The Phong Nha Karst is located in the Annamite Mountains, which spread across the borders of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Phong is a Vietnamese word derived from the Chinese Phong in Cantonese or Feng in Mandarin for wind. Nha is Vietnamese for teeth, though it is more commonly combined with other words to describe things related to teeth. For example, Nha Si means dentist, Nha Hua means dentistry. According to Chinese mythology, the ridges of the Phong Nha Karst are the earth's teeth carved by wind. Vietnam adopted a new constitution in 1992. After the fall of the Soviet Union, decades of economic isolation, and in the wake of Doi Moi reform movements that began in 1986, a series of constitutional amendments reintroduced Vietnam on the global stage and defined new forms of ownership. Individuals, private companies, and foreign investors could now lease land for decades. In the same year, a former farmer in China, Yang Guozhen, formed a company called Country Garden, a real estate development firm that decades later would change the shape of land in Asia. Also that year, Ho Hem, another farmer who lived in Phong Nha, wanted to seek shelter from the rain. He found a hole, and inside a cliff, he crawled in, only to find that the hole was endless. He kept crawling in. We were on our way to the Phong Nha Gebang National Forest to see the caves. While still on the road, a brightness through the car window stunned my eyes open. We were surrounded by glorious mountains and luscious rice paddies. The rolling flora felt ancestral, as if the ancient hills and rivers had been opened to us. Miles of rice paddies surrounded the mountains like a carpet or a grand driveway, or the gigantic lawn meant to emphasize the importance of a palace. The rice paddies glistened electric green, a hue you might see at a nightclub or painted on a Lamborghini. It was strange to see such a green in nature. To get inside the cave, we had to enter as if we were Tarzan, riding the longest zip line in Asia, 400 meters from one side of the lagoon straight into its yawning mouth. One tourist, and then another, flew down the zip line. The speed down the line was sensational. I could feel the whole weight of my body strain my triceps. Gushes of air rushed into my mouth and bubbled in my cheeks. I tried to keep my eyes open to see the landing, but the speed smeared the tropical scenes into indistinguishable streaks of blue and green. Before I could find my composure, my feet skidded onto the landing mat, splayed over a flat rock. I had arrived at the mouth of the cave. "Welcome to the home of King Kong," Don began. In 2016, he explained Warner Brothers, Legendary Entertainment, and Tencent Productions bought the $185 million Kong Skull Island production to Guangdong. They set King Kong's birthplace in the exact area of Fengya that we would be exploring. They shut down this whole area for weeks, said Dong, who then took out his iPhone to show us an online promotional spot of the film director Jordan Wolfe Roberts praising the region's beauty over a soundtrack of Hollywood adventure music. I kept asking, do people understand how beautiful this is? Wolfe Roberts asked. To me, it's so otherworldly and spectacular, and it's just the daily life of other people. I hope that they realize how special the place they live in is. Dr. Don's was not just my dentist's office. It was a Bay Area Vietnamese institution. You entered at 2001 Dentist, a beautiful San Francisco Art Deco building with dark green marble and gilded bricks. The elevator is gold too. Outside the office door, a sign read, Dr. Nguyen Nguyen, DBS, Dr. Van Nguyen, DBS, and Dr. Don Nguyen, DBS. Seldom in America would you see Nguyen 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 engraved on a gold plaque. Dr. Don's father, the original Dr. Nguyen, was my parents' dentist. Dr. Don's mother, Dr. Nguyen's wife, was the nurse, receptionist, and operations manager. Like many Vietnamese refugees, Dr. Nguyen had lived a different life in the mother country. In his youth, he was part of Nam Bo Khang Chien, an anti-colonialist youth movement in southern Vietnam. Dr. Nguyen hung out with Mai Van Bo, who eventually became a Vietnamese diplomat in Paris, and Lu Hu Phuc, a musician and later the cultural minister of the National Liberation Front. Together, the three of them wrote the anthem for Southern Vietnam called Call to the Youths. As a kid, I heard Lu Hu Phuc's song at least once a year in the Tenderloin, a small neighborhood on a southern stretch of Van Ness behind the Civic Center. Long known for its population of extremely poor and mentally ill people, it was also San Francisco's Little Saigon. In the 8-block area between Geary and Turk on Larkin Street, you could find the headquarters of Pen Bong, a Vietnamese newspaper, the famous Turtle Tower restaurant, and Hiep Pen Market. Each year, the Vietnamese community would block off Larkin for an extravagant Lunar New Year festival. For several years running, my dad was the master of ceremonies. The festivals always included a lineup of Vietnamese musical acts, everything from famous starlets of Paris by night to local dance groups, and maybe a few children's songs from the local Vietnamese school, Oga. Local restaurants would grill meat, teenagers would light yards of firecrackers, and little kids like me would try to find a few quarters for party poppers. The cacophonous festival would last all day and into the night, but it always started with a solemn flag ceremony on the center stage. Retired South Vietnamese Army veterans wearing green berets would stand in a line. Then a few women in Ao Dai's traditional Vietnamese dresses stood in another line. Among them, a few would hold South Vietnamese flags, a yellow banner with 3 horizontal stripes representing the North, Central, and South regions of Vietnam. Others would hold the American flag. A very loud, static recording of the anthem would start to play. This is Dr. Nguyen's song, I would quietly say to myself, as the crowd began to sing along. Also known as the Chuang Son Trail, the Ho Chi Minh Trail was not a trail in the sense of a path that connects point A to point B. It was a changing, breathing organism, a network of dirt roads, much like the one my group and I were trekking on, that started from the south of Hanoi in northern Vietnam and moved southwest into eastern Laos and Cambodia through the Annamite mountain range where the Phong Nha Karst lies. Through mountains and jungles, it continued south into eastern Cambodia and terminated in South Vietnam west of Dalat. Many credit this network as the primary conduit for humans and supplies from north to south, as the reason for the North Vietnam's victory in the American War. Use of the trail began in 1959. The US Navy had blocked the coastline, so the North Vietnamese Army needed to find a new way to transport supplies to the south. Colonel Bum of the People's Army of Vietnam, a veteran of the anti-French War of 1946 to 54, was assigned to the task. Bum recalled that in that conflict, the Viet Minh anti-French leaders had created a supply line, the Reunification Trail, that ran through Vietnam's Central Highlands. He hypothesized that a similar trail allowing for weapons from the north to be handed off at stations farther south would give the North and South their best chance at unification. The United States knew that they needed to eliminate this network in order to win the war, and they tried. They dropped 3 million tons of explosives. 1 million more were dropped on Germany and Japan combined in all of World War II. Chemical defoliants, including Agent Orange, destroyed thousands of acres of jungle. But the People's Army of Vietnam had control of the ground. They kept moving. For each crater that the US bombers created, a team of volunteers with shovels would fill in the hole. Sometimes they would set traps, tricking the US Air Force into blowing up the side of a mountain so that they could use the gravel that resulted from the explosion. The trail became the site of daily life for the people who kept the network alive. Songs were sung, pictures were drawn, diaries were written, and plenty of alcohol and smoke were passed around them between comrades for the cause. While many Vietnamese died on the trail as a result of bombings, even more succumbed to environmental hazards. Thousands died from heat exhaustion, fever, and snake bites. I flew to Johor, Malaysia from Ho Chi Minh City on the morning of August 4th, 2019 to visit Forest City. As the airplane was making its descent, I could see a shoreline of flat, sandy land with gray developments sprouting from the plain. Miles away, I could see the sprawl of Johor's untouched jungle. Forest City is a man-made island located in the Johor Strait, 2 kilometers away from Singapore and another 2 kilometers from mainland Malaysia. Its construction began in 2015. Its developer, Country Garden, one of the most powerful Chinese real estate companies, partnered with Sultan Ibrahim and the Sultan of the Malaysian state of Johor for the project. This man-made island has been called a present-day Atlantis and claims to be the world's foremost sustainable city. It runs solely on renewable energy and is able to absorb 10,000 tons of carbon from the air annually. When Forest City is completed, it will be covered in greenery, nearly 1 million plants made up of more than 100 species and 40,000 individual trees. This utopia on the water is also completely tax-free. Forest City was about 30 minutes by car away from the Johor International Airport. Mr. Ah picked me up in a silver Toyota. He was a soft-spoken man, but he didn't waste any time explaining my itinerary. I was to be taken to a welcome lunch. I would then tour all of the properties, concluding with the resort next to the new golf course where the developer had gifted me with a one-night stay in the King Suite. I had been in conversation with Mr. Ah for a year, ever since I contacted Forest City's sales office and told them that I was a professor and artist in New York City with frequent business in Asia. Texting Mr. Ah on WhatsApp, I shared with him that I was going to be having an exhibition of my paintings in Ho Chi Minh City in August of 2019 and would like to visit Forest City with the prospect of purchasing an investment property. Over the months leading up to my arrival, Mr. Ah had sent me copious amounts of well-designed informational material about Forest City, as well as Christmas, New Year, and Lunar New Year greetings. And now, there I was, a prospective buyer dressed in black. The highway in Johor was clean and lined with trees. After a large on-ramp, Forest City rose from the horizon. A giant billboard covered in shrubbery read, "Forest City, A collection of identical white towers grew higher and higher as we drove closer. To my right-hand side, a big complex that looked like a convention center appeared with impressive metal lettering across the roof. Shattuck St. Mary's Forest City International School. Not many cars were going our way, but the ghostly city shimmered with excitement. A security booth greeted us upon arrival. As they inspected his ID, Mr. Oz smiled at me and said, "They always want to know who is here because everything is tax-free. First lunch, okay?" I nodded. My teeth were made a few blocks southeast of Herald Square in New York at a company called Creodent. I paid them a visit to learn about how they made my permanent crowns. At the office, I met a man named Reno who took me on an elaborate tour of the facility. The Creodent floor of 29 30th Street in New York City was bustling with activity, not your idea of a quiet laboratory. A desk with several receptionists greeted us, and behind them I could make out multiple rooms with people shuffling back and forth. A cacophony of dental equipment, tiny, small, and large, were messily organized according to their use in the different stages of the sculpting process. There were areas for digital modeling, casting, baking, and more. Round swivel chairs were in disarray. There were teeth everywhere. On the artisan's desk, in the ovens, and in the bins that lined the walls, people's fake teeth shimmered in tiny plains of limestone salt and the silver and gold glitter of gypsum. In a narrow room with a row of computers lining one wall, Reno pointed to several screens where images of teeth spun around in 3D space. They were blown up to the size of the entire screen. I could see how even the teeth's false ridges were thoughtfully crafted to look like natural imperfections. Next to each computer and lining shelves that extended up to the ceiling were boxes and trays holding plaster and plastic models of many mouths. Each mouth likely had a story, I thought, but here, all together, they seemed like costume accessories. Depending on what the doctor might order, there are many different kinds of false teeth. The crown, which is the tooth part of the implant, could be made with PFM or PFC, acronyms for porcelain fused to metal or porcelain fused to zirconia, respectively, or EMEX, a trademark name for lithium disilicate. Each material has special and specific characteristics to live in one's live mouth. They all reflect light differently, which can make them appear more or less natural. Once a tooth is created, Reno explained, the tooth is coated with liquid porcelain, just as with metal. This porcelain comes in an elaborate array of color categories, further separated by family group. Group A for reddish brown, B for reddish yellow, C for gray, and D for reddish gray. Within each family, the porcelain comes in a range of tones from 0 to 11, lightest to darkest. After the porcelain is baked, a ceramic artist will paint details onto the tooth, like the spots or stripes that people usually have on their teeth. The tooth is baked again, and then one more coat of clear glaze is added before it is baked a final time. This final coating mimics enamel. It fills in any imperfections from the model and serves as a preventative shield against bacteria. You ever been to a club and someone smiles at you and their teeth are so bright that it's blue? People have old implants that are made from plastic fused to metal. Your teeth were made using the most advanced technology we have today, PFC, that's porcelain fused zirconia, and reflects the light in a much more deceptive way. When you go to the club, your teeth won't glow. My bilateral incisor is made out of PFC and painted with A1 colored liquid porcelain and glazed stripes, match my natural teeth when I smile in sunlight. The earth I am pulling is porcelain, a soft white ceramic clay. Ooh, the white earth spins and spins. Porcelain is made of two important elements, a mineral called kaolin, which must be fired between 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit to 2,600 degrees Fahrenheit, and offers the form some plasticity and pastuz, a stone that is admired for its strength and which also gives porcelain its translucency. Often called white gold, porcelain out of the East has been prized by the West since the 13th century. As the white earth continues to open on the spinning wheel, my hands continue to shape the vessel by guiding the material upward, outward, and inward. It is a cup, a vase, a jar, or anything that a vessel could be. It could hold water, a bouquet of flowers, or gunpowder, like the vessels on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. I have decided that my vessel will be a shun, a porcelain instrument from China that has been used for more than 6,000 years. A traditional shun looks like an egg with a hole at the top, 3 finger holes along the front, and 2 thumb holes on the back. Use of the shun dates back to the Stone Age, when it was believed to have been invented by early Chinese hunters, who tied a hollow mud ball to the end of the rope. When the rope was thrown, the mud orb would pick up the air and resonate. Since then, the shun has evolved into an instrument used for everyday music and Confucian rituals. Many have thought it is the embodiment of harmony between heaven, earth, and man. Ooh, I blow into my porcelain shun. I can feel my breath warm my lips as air passes over my porcelain teeth, out my mouth, and through the thin spherical walls of my vessel. Covering the holes in different combinations, I'm able to sound the melody. Ooh, dumb whistles. Ah, comes the wind from Vanya.
Thank you so much, Tammy. That was so beautiful, and Emmy, that introduction was just really so great. We have copies of O. I hope you pick one up. I found this book. It's like the kind of book that just like opens endlessly. Like was so enthralled by it, and I just like tumbled through it to a conclusion I found totally astonishing. So it was a real pleasure to hear you read from it, and I hope everyone will spend more time with it if you haven't already. So we'll now hear from Mayfield Brooks, but the really wonderful Jamil Olawale Kizoko, I reached out to Jamil about introducing Mayfield, and Jamil couldn't be here in person, but really wanted to still participate in some way, so sent this very beautiful video that we'll now play by way of introduction. So,
hello and welcome to the Poetry Project. My name is Jamil Olawale Kizoko, and I have the honor of welcoming Mayfield Brooks to the stage. Mayfield is an award-winning artist, facilitator, educator, vocalist, urban farmer. Mayfield improvises while being Black and beautiful. I adore Mayfield. I've known them for many years, several years, and it's been an absolute pleasure to collaborate with them, to learn from them, and to, most importantly, be their friend. I adore you so much, Mayfield. I don't know what you all are in store for this evening, but whatever it is, I know it will be brilliant. As I said, Mayfield is an award-winning maker. I have received an Merce Cunningham Award from the Foundation for Contemporary Arts and a Hodder Fellowship from Princeton University. Mayfield is an editor of a performance journal, movement research, and continues to share their thinking, their possibilities, and their beauty throughout the world. So without any further ado, please give a round of applause and help me welcome the incomparable Mayfield Brooks to Poetry Project. Thank you.
Hi, wow, that was beautiful. Thank you, Jamil. Yeah, thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much about tea. And also so many other things. I'm just gonna do a little libation for the ancestors, my ancestors, your ancestors, human, non-human. And I also want to acknowledge this land, the Hoking, and the people who are from this land, the Lenape people. So I'm going to share some poems, manifestos, and musings from my project Whale Fall, which is an interdisciplinary project that includes movement, voice, and writing. And in between each piece of text, I've been playing around with this hydrophone in the water. So I will share some of that play. Whale Fall. 1. Whale came to visit me today. Whale said, "Hey, do you have a moment?" Or Whale said, "I'm here to show you how to live and die. I'm going to take you to the depths, to the place where my body falls after I die." I said, "Whale, I cannot go to the depths. I won't be able to breathe there." Whale said, "You can't breathe here on Earth. Your ancestors sent me here to remind you of your impossible existence." Whale said, "When you fall, you will die and be reborn again. You will replenish the ocean with your cellular body, and you will mingle with the cellular bodies of your ancestors before time." Whale said, "Whale fall with me to the bottom of the sea." I said, "I've given up the ghost before, and I can do it again." Whale said, "It is better to know the ghosts that you've given up. It is better to know." And I keep tumbling in and out of this story like the tides. I keep opening and closing my eyes, trying to rest, trying to do my best, trying to stay afloat. While the ghosts haunt my throat, neck, and shoulders, I lost my head, my legs too, and my spine keeps moving. I said, Whale, I cannot go to the depths. I won't be able to breathe there. Whale said, you can't breathe here on earth. Whale said, whale dead, whales dread, whales tread lightly, so heavy. Their bodies, these bodies of water, my body, her body, gone now. Whale said, when you fall, you will die and be reborn again, and you will replenish the ocean with your cellular body, and you will mingle with the cellular bodies of your ancestors before time. But here, we commune, we dine on the bones. Their bones are our bones, a fossil for fuel, a queuing up, and now down, down, down. She said, Terima kasih. It is accepted with love. You are accepted with love. Here, now, here. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Whale said. Whale fall with me to the bottom of the sea. 2. After my conversation with the whale, the magical spinners of thread gave me their knitting needles and a skein of cornflower blue yarn. Upon receiving this gift, I immediately devised a plan to immerse myself in the wonders of craft knitting. I looked up an instructional knitting video on YouTube and found a friendly instructor who guided me through my initial lessons. Enough for me to get started on nothing in particular, but perhaps the finished product would just go on forever. Eventually, I found a place where I would knit. It was an abandoned theater with concrete walls and blacked out windows. Being a city dweller, I had an intense urge and desire to create a space that would emulate a relaxing oceanic experience. Maybe I should. I planned a knitting rendezvous at the abandoned theater. On the day of my planned adventure, I took my portable blue record player, my Environments One, the psychologically ultimate seashore album, my knitting needles, and the cornflower blue yarn to that abandoned theater, which happened to be on the Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York. I sojourned there for 3 days, imagined myself sinking with whales and becoming a magical spinner of thread. This is where the story should begin, but the story never begins because as I sit in front of the window that is no longer blacked out because I moved the black aluminum blocking, all of the windows, because I removed the black aluminum blocking from all of the windows, I find myself wanting to become one with the light. I am awash with warmth, and I move toward the light-filled window. And what do I find? I find a piano the size of a whale's heart and I began to hear the heartbeat of my great-grandma, Betty Chambers, who we used to call Big Mama. And Big Mama is one of the magical spinners of thread, and she tells me to move the piano, and so I move the piano. And I start to hear the voice of Jonah inside of the whale, and I hear someone else whispering, "Call me Ishmael." I'm just playing, I'm not really. Until I'm floating in a sea of whispers. But then I rock the boat and the voices dissipate until I'm the only one in the theater that is no longer abandoned because of the voices. And the songs of the whales began to haunt me like the old Negro spirituals or Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday. And Big Mama tells me to climb up and out of the abyss, so I scale the wall of the bleachers with the help of a tall ladder until I am above and not below, but as above, so below, is what I remember, but then I forget. Until my fingertips guide me to the cement block wall and I listen to the wall. And I hear my voice singing Strange Fruit. In a distance, and maybe there are some poplar trees on the Lower East Side. But I'll never know because the voices keep coming and Big Mama keeps breathing into my ear and my ears, but my eyes are closed. And I am singing, but I forgot the words, so I only sing the melody, which puts me to sleep until I find a way out of this above world. And I'm back down there with the black velvet theater curtains and the shipwreck that I built after I sat in front of the light-filled window to knit with the fake sounds of the ocean. But I regress. Because now I am faced with these curtains that have a curious texture, so soft. And I hit the curtains like a drum. Or like slapping the top of the water in the lake. I'm not sure. When I start to speak in tongues because I remember Big Mama speaking in tongues. Every time she would fry some fish, and then I approach the ghost light, and my back becomes a spine like the spine of a whale, and that's all there is, just a spine. And then the curtains again, and then a phantom leg that emerges through the curtain. And then the golden ball ascending. The golden sulfuric substance found on the whale bones at the bottom of the sea. More bones, more darkness, less light. A blue, blue, blue abyss. A blue, blue, blue sadness. A kind of crawling and swimming in the black blue. A furious recognition. I lost my voice. A furious recognition of objects that look and feel like chairs. Yes, this is a theater. Never forget that this is a theater. Never forget to sit down. But I swim past all of that. The thick dark of darkness to the thin sliver of light coming through the cracks of the door on the other side of the room from where the piano was before and after it was moved. But that is neither here nor there because I moved towards that light. and push the door open. And then there is where the light finds me before I can know that it is there. And I am exposed in the magical spinners of thread where the whale matriarchs emerge from the light into the no longer abandoned theater in Manhattan, the Lenape name for Manhattan. And the magical whale matriarch spinners of thread bring gifts, a shiny sequin cape of silver reflection, a bell of all bells, and a tea, butterfly pea flower tea. And the tea is blue, sometimes purple, sometimes violet, and the tea is an elixir, a heavenly drink that opens our heartstrings and expands our lungs with laughter. And we laugh and giggle and snicker and slurp until the bell brings us home. And Big Mama whispers again, "Whale, fall with me now, so I can save you, so I can give you the yarn and root and so." This next poem is a song called "Where is the Whale?" WHALEWAIL. And I'm gonna play with this. This is really, usually, I didn't want to bring the big basin that I sing in, but we'll see what happens. The door of no return, and a dance with death, a pause above, a pause below, bellow. 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 Where is the I'm asking where's the well? I'm asking, I'm crying, where's the well? next that I can share? I think I'll share some of my manifestos. Oh, no, okay. I'll just share a couple things. Stuff that might be found in the belly of a whale that came from or touched my body. The synthetic braids, the yoga mat, the coffee cup, the glass jar, the toenail, the bowel movement, the stream of piss, the plastic water bottle, the kombucha bottle, the desk lamp, the bed frame, the leather couch, the green Nikes, the synthetic white slip. And that poem never ends. Quantum entanglement with off-grid dreams. Oh, the romance. Every day I dream of sleeping under the stars. Why do I need a roof over my head? Why have I succumbed to the vagaries of modern life? Plastic cups, electricity, and flushing toilets. Can I live closer to the ground? Will my back be okay? Will I cut my feet if I walk barefoot all the time? What are my values, and can I follow them with truth and integrity? Why don't you break out of the grind? Why don't you stop paying rent, shit in the forest, carry around the toilet paper and peanut butter for protein? Fuck that. I want a beautiful off-grid life. I want to forego interaction with the human species for days, years, months, and perhaps a few decades. Humans pollute the wrong way. Instead of shitting, fucking, peeing, spitting, singing, and dancing and farting outside under the bright white sky, they choose to suppress their ordinary natural waste and create waste created for them by petrochemical companies. How many of those red plastic beer cups do I have to be subjected to on a daily basis? I live in Bushwick, so that's probably why. It's absurd. Have I become a red plastic beer cup? Is the beautifully slick and shiny plastic red beer cup now in my blood? Okay, Whale Fall Manifesto 1. We will not let you survive your graveyards of success. We will not be your fossil for fuel. We will not be your trash receptacles. We will not be your circus act. We will not be your free willy. We will not be your stuffed animal. Some of us are loved. Some of us are shy. Some of us are weapons. Some of us are wise. We will turn off your lights. We will put you to sleep. We will haunt your dreams. We will swallow you whole. We will expose your fears. We will survive your greed. We will endure. We will prevail. Some of us are loved. Some of us are shy. Some of us are weapons. Some of us are wise. We are Leviathan. We are Pod. We are many. We are one.
Oh my God, Mayfield, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. Wow, this whole evening, thank you, Jamil. It was just, thank you so much, Tammy. Thank you, Emmy. Thank you all for being here. This is really such a dream of an evening and such a dream of a spring season. So I hope to see you on Zoom on Monday or at the party the following Monday or otherwise around the city over the summer. Thank you again. This was such a thrill. Good night.